TLO, what's poppin'? We are on Twitch. We are not live, but you can leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notification bells, man. Coming late, but better late than never. Only got one today. Probably drop like a couple tomorrow just to make up for today coming late. But we got Paul Ferris, the Wee Man Vendetta. Let's get into this. My mic may sound a little better, but it's still trash. But gotta do what I gotta do. Let's get into it.
Glasgow's most notorious gangland murder. He had taken on the city's ruling crime family and seemingly got away with it. The stage was set for one of the longest running gangland feuds in Britain. It's a story of raw revenge and hit job.
What is it? So, it's an intro.
Mayhem in Glasgow this weekend. I'm Russell Walker with TheeLitOne News. 5 people have been murdered in the city over the weekend.
It is related to an ongoing dispute in the East End over the control of drugs empires. Strathclyde police are describing this weekend's wave of violence.
Whoa. What happened to that? Oh, they cut it off. The sound. Yeah.
Stabbing.
Oh, there's no sounds like that.
Stabbings, kneecappings, and scalpings.
People started calling you the robot because anything that I was ever asked to do, I went and done it.
You're very efficient.
I'd like to think it was efficient. I was being given orders as much as somebody would be given a shopping list to go and collect the shopping. You know, you treated it purely as business.
So you kind of born into a kind of lifestyle where you're completely
Let's do this one. This is the same thing, right? Alright, because that one sound was off.
I don't think there is such a thing as a good criminal. You know, good criminals are the ones that don't get caught, isn't it?
12 years ago, this man walked free from Glasgow's most notorious gangland murder. He had taken on the city's ruling crime family and seemingly got away with it.
Okay.
The stage was set for one of the longest running gangland feuds in Britain. It's a story of raw revenge and hit jobs. We have spent 6 months getting close to this man to uncover the fight to rule Britain's most murderous city, where only the ruthless survive.
Yeah! Fucking coppers!
Talk about it. This is the intro. Don't want to see it. Don't want to see it. Don't want to see it.
On news, 5 people have been murdered in the city over the weekend.
It is related to an ongoing dispute in the East End over the control of drugs empires. Strathclyde police are describing this weekend's wave of violence as one of the worst on record.
Glasgow's homicide rate is the highest in Western Europe, twice that of London and even greater than New York. It's a city plagued by long-running gangland.
How long ago was this? You said greater than New York? 2019?
Feuds where conspiracies run wild and memories are long. Glasgow's brutal underworld. And we reveal Glasgow's brutal underworld. He may look like an accountant, but gangster Paul Ferris is one of the most feared men in Scotland.
That's how it always be. It always be them accountant-looking motherfuckers that be gangsters, that be thugging it out, killers. You too, I don't condone it. I'm just saying that's how it be.
He has been a hitman, drug dealer, and gunrunner, and has carried out shootings, stabbings, kneecappings, and scalpings.
People started calling you the robot
Scalpings? What the fuck?
because anything that I was ever asked to do, I went and done it.
You're very efficient.
I'd like to think it was efficient. I was being given orders as much as somebody would be given a shopping list to go and collect the shopping. You know, he treated it purely as business.
So you kind of born into a kind of lifestyle where you completely disassociate emotionally from the crimes you do.
Business, that's all it was.
Just business?
Just business.
And the minute you pull the trigger, you put that knife in.
Business.
Business.
That's all it
Because
was.
how do you feel about being described as a kind of efficient operator, debt collector, enforcer, efficient killer?
The emotional aspect to it is to achieve the goals in which people actually ask you to sit out and do it. There's a guy who
Sound like a Gemini. What the fuck?
had been stabbed in relation to threats that were alleged to have been made by him, that he was out to avenge something.
And did you stab him?
Yeah, I did, yeah. But it turned out the information was not accurate. That's something that I reflect back on and say that he was a casualty.
The occasional blunder was an occupational hazard, but it only served to enhance Ferris's reputation. His violent exploits became legendary on the streets of Glasgow's East End. Paul Ferris's criminal apprenticeship came in the 1970s on Glasgow's hard streets. He learned from a young age that the knife is a powerful weapon, an equalizer.
This is me getting hugging.
He's been doing this since the 70s. He learned with the real hitters.
Field Street, where I actually stayed for many a year. Number 19 over there, on the top.
Was this a base for a lot of your activities?
It nearly is, yeah. But I had to move because there's too much aggravation at my mum's house.
So you were bringing trouble
I was
the
bringing
police
I was
home to your
bringing
mum.
police to the door, and it was totally unacceptable.
And your dad was in prison. What was he in prison for?
Bank robbery. The bank that he robbed was in Ridley, and because Berlin was in close proximity, most of the prison officers' wages get paid in there. Never got paid that day because my dad nicked all the money. They thought that was quite funny. You know, any time I went in as a juvenile, and
This Glasgow accent. God dang.
my name get called out in reception, it was, "Is that Willie's boy?" And then you get the older screws coming in going, "I remember your fucking dad, he stole our wages." I had a lot of happy times there, growing up, until the bullying aspect started. Just changed my whole life completely. Made me into somebody who was very vengeful, always remembered bad things that happened to me.
So is this guy, like, is he still alive? Is he still free? Like, he's just openly giving his account of how he was a vicious murderer? Like, what the hell?
Paul was systematically bullied at school. He waited until he was 17 and then unleashed his bloody revenge on one of his tormentors.
Got him in a headlock and took a knife across his forehead and scalped him.
And so all his skin from his forehead peeled off.
Yeah.
What, it must have been a horrific sight. Did it bother you?
It never bothered me. It bothered his mother because he was screaming up to the house and she held him out the window until the ambulance arrived to stop the blood from going all over the house. Oh,
What the hell?
obviously an impact on his mother.
What impact does that have on you?
None.
None.
I'm sorry.
It's self-satisfaction.
Y'all got out of that one. He almost was a school threat. Okay. Y'all got out of that one. Y'all better leave. Hey, bullying is not the thing to do. If you're a child and you're watching this and you're going to school, do not bully people. That's the lame. That's lame.
Ferris's reputation for cruelty without remorse brought him to the attention of the East End godfather, Arthur Thompson, who took him under his wing.
Yeah, that's the Thompson, the household there. First and last houses. The best advice my dad ever gave me was never to get involved with Thompson. I knew better, or I thought I did. It turns out my dad was right, the rest of the family was right, and I was wrong. John. How you doing, mate? How you doing? Pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yeah.
I I'm not gonna lie, the instrumentals used in this was fire.
Paul Ferris quickly impressed the Godfather. He became Thompson's most feared debt collector and enforcer. His exploits earned him the nicknames the Wee Man, Lucky, and the Robot.
This is the kind of final one that I did, so.
Excellent. Well, it's probably one of very few that I would identify as Arthur Thompson, Senior, who in real terms was the last Godfather.
Yeah. Everybody's always got a nickname.
The Last Godfather, Jimmy the Hammer, you know, and the Penguin.
Wee Man.
Licensee. One of the most derogatory ones I've ever heard of was Brian the Tosser Meekin. You know, basically saying he's a wanker. Probably could be called a wanker myself, but never in that context. A reporter had described me in court as a weasel-faced crook with a cunning beyond his years. You know, so...
That's pretty accurate.
I was trying to portray it.
I think it's important that if we're going to create a kind of rogues gallery,
It's fire.
And I should be included in the rogues gallery.
When Glasgow's Godfather died in 1993, Paul Ferris was seen as the natural heir to the crime empire. But one man stood in his way. Tam, the licensee McGraw. Reg Mackay has been reporting on Glasgow's gangsters for over 10 years.
This is Thomas McGraw, known as a licensee in a rare public outing. He's attending the funeral of one of his hitmen who'd been knifed to death in his own patch the year before. He's called a licensee because knifed to death in his own patch. The funeral of one of his hitmen who'd been knifed to death in his own patch the year before. He's called a licensee because he remarkably escapes conviction, investigation, prosecution for a wide range of offences, has done for well over 20 years. It's part of the trade-off. That's why he's called a licensee, licensed to commit crime.
The underworld believes
The licensee, licensed to commit crime. It's part of the trade-off. That's why he's called a licensee.
for informing on fellow criminals, the police have afforded McGraw a degree of immunity. An official inquiry in 1996 cleared Strathclyde police of these charges, but the rumours persist.
I believe it.
Despite being a major figure linked to organised crime, McGraw has not had a significant conviction in over 20 years.
Exactly.
This is a rare sighting of McGraw in 1988, when he was cleared of running an international drug smuggling ring. That same year, Paul Ferris was sentenced to 10 years for gun running. With Ferris behind...
He got off because he told on him, or he was licensed.
Behind bars, it's alleged that McGraw took control of Glasgow's multi-million-pound drugs empire.
He has every right to be afraid about being taken out. He probably has more enemies in Glasgow than anybody else.
Ferris and McGraw have a history. In the 1980s, they both worked with the Godfather, Arthur Thompson, but an act of treachery tore them apart. Ferris believes Tam McGraw had a hand in the gangland killings of his two closest friends.
Is there movies for this? This sounds movie worthy. He's like the main character in a movie. This is very movie worthy.
The licence coverage that McGraw's got himself, it can only extend to not going to prison. It doesn't extend it not going to hospital.
Vendetta.
In January 2002, Paul Ferris, the heir apparent to Glasgow's East End crime empire, was released from prison for gun running. In his absence, Tam, the licensee McGraw, had become Scotland's richest criminal. The stage was set for the two sworn enemies to go face to face, Ferris versus McGraw.
Ferris probably got a lot of pent-up aggression. He's been plotting.
Since Ferris's return to Glasgow, war has erupted on the streets of the East End. With the death toll rising, the licensee looks increasingly vulnerable.
He did have a driver, a minder, a bodyguard, who were killed. Then he went on another recruitment programme and got another minder, bodyguard and driver who were shot. Who knows, third time lucky.
But next time they might get McGraw instead of the driver and the minder.
Yeah.
Tam, the licensee McGraw, is said to be worth £20 million, but his life is under constant threat. The licensee surrounds himself with bodyguards.
And is it worth it at that point? Like, yeah, I'm worth 20 million, but my life is always at jeopardy. Hell yeah, it's worth it. What the fuck? What?
He wears bulletproof vests and rarely leaves his fortified villa. He chose not to speak to us.
Absolutely.
How much would it cost to
In my mind.
Tam McGraw?
As far as finances would be concerned, there are people that would do that for nothing.
Quality
people that would do that for nothing.
Damn.
Shot me.
Over the last 2 years, Mark Clinton has been implicated in several murders of McGraw's henchmen. Clinton has been charged with stabbing one of McGraw's most trusted lieutenants 27 times.
Past 2 is personal.
Shuts
He
my
said
trap.
27?
It's better to have it than not to have it. Yeah. You never know in a moment, that's what's turned up.
Even in the 21st century, knives are the weapon of choice in Glasgow. Violence here is personal and intimate.
See? Personal and intimate. I miss one. They getting intimate with the knife. They making love to the stabbings.
That was just a couple of marks for the machete attack.
So how many of those wounds did you have?
15 or something like that.
15?
Just slash marks there.
What did you say to them when they were slashing you? You said...
Just tell them better make sure I've not got a pulse left when they leave me.
Mark Clinton, what's up?
How many murders have the police called you in on?
4, maybe 5, the past 2 years.
What's it like to stab a man?
When you're in that life, you don't... It's nothing. It's nothing. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. If you're in that situation.
I could beat that. I mean, like, if you put like fight or flight, and flight is looking like it's not an option, it get real easy.
Me personally, any time I've been fighting with somebody with a knife, it's just been trying to stab them as many times as possible. You get them done before anything happens to you. Stabbed somebody once and it hurt a bone and the blade of the knife broke.
Dang.
Must have hit quite a hard bone. And I think it was not much force that the actual blade snapped.
That's eerie as hell how he's explaining it.
On the 24th of September 2002, the first of McGraw's henchmen was fatally stabbed.
Sheelan Bar. Gordon Ross, one of the McGraw's henchmen as well. He was stabbed to death and lay there bleeding. An hour and a half later, he was found by a passing police car lying on the pavement just outside the bar, stabbed to death several times. People were shocked when Gordon Ross was killed here in East End, middle of his own territory. To be taken out in this way, right here in one of his locals, yeah, I think the licensee would have been very, very worried at that point and wondered what the hell was going to happen next. This is Billy McPhee. Billy McPhee is another henchman, hitman for McGraw. Close associate of Gordon Ross. The two of them carried out many, many jobs together.
How many murders would this man be responsible for?
He's never been convicted of murder, but to my information, he's seen off at least 6 people. Usually with a knife. Some months earlier.
who are these people's lawyers? Like, who? Like, they don't get convicted of nothing. They gotta have people on higher powers on a payroll or something.
McPhee had been shot in the face once, and this was his first time out from that injury. Serious injury to his jaw. He felt quite vulnerable.
So an attempt had already been made at his life.
Yeah, you know, if the gun had been of a higher caliber, he'd have been dead. He'd been told at that funeral that he was next. And when you see McPhee, I mean, it's a picture of a dead man walking.
Billy the Iceman McPhee had a reputation as a brutal hitman and major drug dealer. In 1998, McGraw and McPhee both walked free from court where they faced drugs charges. He was believed to be one of the licensee's most trusted associates.
This is where Billy McPhee met his end. Shortly after the funeral of Gordon Ross, they decided to take in a Rangers game and a rugby match. He survived the Rangers match. He didn't survive the rugby match, unfortunately.
This is the Middle East territory. He felt safe,
R.I.P.
he felt secure, he was relaxed, and all of a sudden, individual with his head covered walks into pub, legs, his arms, his arse, his genitals, 27 wounds, horrible, bloody murder.
That's how it always happens, man. When you most such uncomfortablest at the crib in your hometown, it don't matter. That's where they hate you the most.
McPhee, said to have been a close associate of crime boss Tam the licensee McGraw, was rushed to hospital but died shortly after.
It's related to an ongoing dispute in the East End over the control of drugs empires.
The knifeman made no attempt to hide his face. He was wearing a grey hooded top and jeans.
So far, no arrests have been made, but detectives say that justice will be done.
In the middle of a packed family pub, diners witnessed a savage and personal attack on McPhee. He was stabbed in the eyes and the throat. Getting justice was always going to be
27 times, eyes, throat, genitals, butt, all of that they just said, in a public spot packed with people. Very personal, did not care.
a difficult task. Although the pub was full, few witnesses came forward.
No,
the
for what?
CCTV was said to be broken, and sources have told us that blood and hair, other people's DNA, was scattered across the scene by the killer to put the police off the scent. Since you've come out in 2002, some of McGraw's henchmen have been killed.
Yeah.
Are you responsible?
No.
Do you know who is?
Probably, yeah.
Are you going to tell me?
No.
The frenzied attack on McPhee seemed to fit the style of one man, and within weeks, Mark Clinton, already implicated in other attacks on the licensee's gang, was charged with murder.
I think the reason I was put in was because they narrowed it down to so many people that would brazenly walk into a pub and follow a full gang of so-called enemies and take the main man out in front of his pals. So they've done that, but there's only maybe 2 or 3 people in a full city.
That ain't his pals. Them niggas some bit, man, listen. You couldn't walk up with me, man, listen.
Done that. They've maybe thrown if they're not right one.
That's questionable. Sounds like it was an inside job for power or something. If you did it in front of all these people, like, come on.
I was in prison. One of them was here. Where was he? So it's got to have been him. Because the other 2 are accounted for. He's no. And we know that that's his style. He'll no go into a pub with a big army. He'll just walk in his cell, do what he's got to do and walk out.
Clinton, by his own admission, has a short fuse.
Stabbed a guy 5 times and slashed another one for being cheating my father.
That's worthy. Family first.
A lot right to him. All that showed you on camera was like, it looks as though I'm punching the guy and he's behind. But I wasn't. I'm just sticking a lock back up his ass. I'm giving up about 5
up
times.
Up his what?
But I wasn't. I'm just sticking a lock back up his ass. I'm giving up.
So it's not just a regular stabbing. You up his booty with it. You knifing butts. Pause. YouTube, I don't condone it. I'm just repeating what he's saying. I'm trying to register it in my mind. Like, he did get cheeky with his dad, but like, God dang, he'll never do the same.
Not about 5 times or something. But the blood was about that one. And it was right into the horn 5 times. And when I got back up and his palm was done, I just like kind of drew my horn across his stomach and it's just opened wide open.
So with a boo-boo knife, he drew his hand across his friend's stomach. That's tough.
I'm walking down the street minding my own affair.
Mark Clinton's trial started a year after McPhee's death. If found guilty, Clinton would be facing life behind bars.
The cops took me
2004, I was like a freshman in high school or something.
to a little room where the bright light shined.
Under cross-examination, the eyewitnesses' evidence crumbled. With no conclusive forensics, the case collapsed. Mark Clinton was unexpectedly free.
14 months of police harassment for nothing. Convicted me of murder. And they knew that wasn't me. Try to convict me of murder. Yes! Fuck the coppers! I'm very...
Talk about it, right on the court steps.
I've had 14 months of a nightmare hanging over my head. And I've had 3 attempts on my own life where I was given bail. Through, but the police would have been as well painting a target on my back, my forehead, and just saying, on you go, kill him. But I'm a very relieved man that justice has been seen to done today. And I've been acquitted for murdering William McPhee.
When that murder trial collapsed, the police made no announcement. Strathclyde police often make no announcement. And the message they send is, we had the right man, we just couldn't get a conviction.
It's impossible to prove, but Mark Clinton claims that Tam, the licensee McGraw, approached him outside the High Court and made him an unbelievable offer.
I was told that if I set Paul Ferris up to be murdered, that person would make sure that I worked for Billy McPhee's murder.
And who told you that?
Mr. McGraw. They said if I didn't set Mr. Ferris up, there would be witnesses coming in that hadn't came forward already. And that they know it was definitely me that done it.
What was your reaction?
And I phoned a taxi and got in a taxi and I phoned Paul Ferris and told him.
It was alleged to have been put to him that he can get...
Paul has some loyal dudes behind him, huh? He's still alive. Or is he? I don't know.
McGraw can get Mark Clinton an out if he's prepared to set me up. Comes as no surprise. It's not the first time I've heard that, it certainly won't be the last either.
Who else was with McGraw that day?
Fella Craig Devlin and Joker McCartney, and the next day the two of them were shot in the Royal Oak. Craig Devlin and fella McCartney.
Detectives are waiting to question 2 men gunned down in broad daylight outside a Glasgow bar. 41-year-old John McCartney is critically hurt, and Craig Devlin, who's 31, is in a serious condition in hospital. It's understood businessman Tam, the licensee McGraw, rushed the pair to hospital in his car following the shooting in Nitshill Road.
This was a typical gangland Glasgow hit. Busy pub Thursday afternoon, full of, normal people having a quiet drink. Door swings open, nobody pays any attention. It's February, it's cold. Guy's got a hood up. He looks round the room, sees his targets, straight up to them. He knows they're wearing bulletproof vests. That means they're protected from there. Shoots him low, shoots him the genitals, shoots him the thighs, shoots him several times. Standard Glasgow issue is what they call the Glasgow send-off.
Even if you've killed somebody, it's quite common here to shoot them once up the arse. It's an insult as well as a very lethal shot.
And typical Glasgow.
A Glasgow send-off. You shoot somebody up the butt. That's perplexing.
The pub was packed, but guess what?
No witnesses. Nobody was here.
Miraculously, they survived. But just days after the shootings, the pub, a well-known underworld headquarters, was burnt down.
How do you live with that? How do you live with just knowing you got shot in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, in the rectum. How do you just go on? You never boo-boo again. Not correctly.
The elusive Tam the Life
Diarrhea for life.
C. McGraw had a narrow escape.
Were you surprised to learn that McGraw was with Devlin and McCartney when they were shot at the Royal Oak?
Was I surprised?
Yeah.
Yes. Quite a big surprise as it happens.
He knew it.
As I said to you before, I'm sure that if the people who committed that offence knew McGraw was there, I don't think McCartney and Devlin would have got shot.
Who would have got shot?
You set it up. That's why you said that. You know.
McGraw.
And but
he want to smile so bad.
McGraw was at the toilets at the time.
Don't know. I heard that he took a 9.9 dive under the pool table, which whether that's true or not is another matter.
And Devlin and McCartney, are they associates of McGraw, so to speak?
They're associates to an extent. They're commonly known as the snitches bitches, which means that they will do his bidding for them, despite the fact that it's generally accepted that everybody knows what McGraw is. So anybody that's collaborating with McGraw are tarred with the same brush, and quite rightly so.
I get a sense that you might know more about that day than you're letting on.
Our contacts are very good.
Good answer. Good answer, Paul.
I think if we should probably like the public to perceive me as some gangland villain that's got money or that, but if I'm on a gangland villain that's got money, I fucking wouldn't be sitting trying to paint main house and straighten the wallpaper. I feel like a prison warder, don't I? I think I must have about 12 sets of keys for different houses on Rosdra. I've made it a point that I don't stay in the same house 2 nights in a row. I'll not go and meet anybody. A lot of people maybe say you're paranoid and all the rest of it, but it's happened before, and so many murders through the years that people have been enticed there with their own meant to be friends. You can entice to a place or a meeting or whatever. So I just make it a point of not going to meet anybody. And I've had to change my routine now. I don't stay, as I say, I don't stay in the same house 2 nights in a row. I've always had the attitude
keep him.
He's not going
to move around, man. I'm scared for your life out there.
By you, so if there's something going to happen, it's going to happen. Nobody will be able to stop it, apart from myself.
Facts. He's a realist.
By the mid-80s, Paul Ferris had become one of the most feared hitmen in Scotland. He was working for Glasgow's ruling crime boss. Arthur Thompson and his son had grown rich on the heroin trade.
I travelled on this road 20 years ago when I was on the run for several attempted murders.
The route to the bloody feud that has erupted in Glasgow goes back 20 years. It's a story of betrayal and treachery. At the time, Ferris and his now mortal enemy McGraw were both working with Arthur Thompson. But in the winter of 1984, all that changed. Ferris's work as a brutal enforcer for the Godfather was bringing the unwelcome attention of the police. Wanted in connection with over a dozen murders, the 21-year-old gratefully accepted sanctuary in the Thompson family holiday home in Rossi, Isle of Bute. That evening, as Ferris and his heavily pregnant wife settled in, police helicopters were flying up the Clyde towards them. Ferris believes that Arthur Thompson's son, Fat Boy, had set him up. The police found a bag of heroin along with a large bundle of used banknotes and a cache of weapons in the flat.
Oh. Damn.
Do you think a member of the Thompson family shot you?
I doubt.
There's no other reasoning. That's the only... That makes sense. Nothing else makes sense.
I doubt. And I genuinely think it was Arthur Jr. The police are investigating 13, 14 attempt murders. And the 13, 14 attempt murders are in relation to recovery of £50,000. I was going out and down things on reflection, look back now. It's inconceivable it was me that was doing that, but I take full responsibility for what was done. I thought it was an exercise that you go through to prove your worth to these people, and then you're brought into the fold, but it wasn't like that.
Nope. So you did that time, took that fall for no reason.
Ferris never worked for the Thompsons again. Five years later, an attempt was made on the Godfather's life. He told the police that Paul Ferris had repeatedly tried to run him over.
The Godfather told the police what? So the Godfather was snitching.
A year later, Arthur Fatboy Thompson, the Godfather's son, out on weekend release from prison, was at the gang's headquarters, the Proven Mill Inn, brandishing a hit list.
Arthur Thompson Jr. Was near enough finished his sentence. His then wife picked him up, and instead of going back to the house, which you would probably miss sexual relationships with your wife, he decided that he was heading into the city centre to buy a shoulder holster and powder, gunpowder, to make up a whole series of bullets. I believe that he bought that and then was in the Proven Mill Inn bragging about this list. It was like a hear ye declaration on this is his hit list. I was fourth on the list. There was about 12, I don't know. He's obviously playing up to the Gangster Chronicles.
How soon after his declaration of the hit list, which you were on, did he get killed?
What, 4 hours?
4 hours.
4 hours after the hit list dropped, he was dropped. That's tough. Paul, you are something else, Paul. You don't play around with your life, boy. As soon as somebody say something, you on their ass.
The first bullet caught Fat Boy on the cheek. The second smashed into his ribs, puncturing.
First bullet kissed him on the cheek. God.
A lung. The third pierced his anus.
What did the third bullet do?
His ribs, puncturing a lung.
Ate his face, then the bullet ate his...
With the attempted murder of Thompson Sr. and the murder of his son, Fat Boy. He also faced charges of supplying heroin, cocaine and ecstasy, illegal possession of a firearm, and kneecapping. Thompson Sr. sought to avenge his son's death.
How'd that go? Because Paul is still alive from what I'm seeing. What music was they gonna play right there?
Bar once belonged to Bobby Glover. Paul Ferris is in jail, accused of Fat Boy's murder. And his two closest friends, Bobby Glover, And the third of the amigos, Joe Hanlon, were found dead here in the car, shot through the head, outside Bobby's own pub. Big insult, big insult. But worse than that was that very day, Fat Boy's funeral cortege would pass by where the bodies had been dumped.
They were very close friends of mine. There was a lot of speculation flying about that because I'd been involved in the murder of Fat Boy Thompson, they must have been involved in the murder of Fat Boy Thompson.
If you wanted to hurt Paul Ferris at that time in 1991, one easy way to do it would be to hurt his two very, very close friends. They weren't just business associates, they were tight, they were very, very close.
And they weren't just hurt, they were executed.
It was a definite execution, it wasn't even a hit. They had been taken by force.
Did they get shot in the anus? That's my only question from now on when I hear about any passings. Was it an anus shot?
Put in a situation and summarily executed, bullets through the head.
Okay.
Ferris believes McGraw was behind the death of his friends. Despite no concrete evidence, it's widely rumoured that McGraw arranged for the corpses to be laid out in a Glasgow pub for Thompson Sr. to view before they were dumped in a car.
It was a symbolic killing. The murders of Bobby and Joe have never been solved and never will be solved. But it's well known that Thomas McGraw had a hand in it, seemingly to try and buy a favour with Thompson, the Godfather. At the time, Paul Ferris and Bobby and Joe were deemed to be the up-and-coming chiefs. They were going to take over. All very capable in their different ways.
And have the deaths of Glover and Hanlon been avenged?
Crime is a great source of vengeance, isn't it? In the sense that loads of folk involved have since met tragic ends, but they're involved in organised crime anyway, and it's a chance all of these guys take.
Till the end of time.
Died of a fatal heart attack.
Long as
murder, and 18 months later died of a fatal heart attack.
Long as there's a spring of bird to sing,
God took you out.
The funeral of Glasgow's last Godfather was attended by gangsters from all over the UK.
Till the end.
Heart attack, dang. Everybody get y'all cholesterol down, man. Start eating fruits and vegetables, man. You know what I'm saying? If y'all need to get on a regimen of, what is it, Advil or whatever the one is for your heart, get on that. Your health is your most important thing.
One man who was noted for his absence was the Godfather's one-time protege, Paul Ferris.
My love for you.
Thompson's crime empire was now up for grabs. But who would seize the Godfather's crown? The names on everyone's lips were Ferris and McGraw.
Arthur Thompson Sr. Appeared as a prosecution witness at the trial in 1992 and gave evidence against me in 1992. I had the utmost respect for that man and his family until he appeared in the witness box and gave his evidence. I was shocked, could not believe it. It transpires that he had been collaborating with authorities for numerous amount of years. So
damn, so it was never really your homie. He was doing it for the police the whole time.
When he died there, apparent was obviously going to be somebody who was engaging with the authorities, and that wasn't me. But it turned out to be Tom McGraw, the licensee.
John McGraw, the licensee, huh? Go back. Let me make sure.
So when he died there, apparent was obviously going to be somebody who was engaging with the authorities, and that wasn't me. But it turned out to be Tom McGraw.
Word of the murder of the Godfather's son, Ferris would become a legend in the underworld. The media nicknamed him Lucky.
From anyone else to at this stage.
What are you supposed to say? He gotta say no. He's a gangster.
But Ferris's lucky
that don't mean he ain't gonna move correctly.
Run was to be short-lived. Just 5 years later, he was back behind bars. This time for gun running.
Again?
With Ferris brooding in prison, McGraw was now free to pick up the remnants of the Thompson crime empire. But when Ferris was released in January 2002, the underworld braced itself.
You're a man who's always regarded as saying you never forget, and that eventually vengeance will be yours. Have you put vengeance and revenge behind, or is that, are you still waiting for your biting your?
I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting. No, he ain't put it behind him. What the hell?
Time with various people.
The words of
Tupac.
Tupac.
I think that I have put it behind me, but it's like one of these situations. If you come across somebody that you've not seen for quite a while, and there's issues still to be addressed, this is where the grey area comes into it. Have you got enough self-control to leave it at that, or are you actively going to do something about it? Now, there's a difference between sitting and plotting and planning to wreak revenge on that. I've got no time for sitting, plotting and planning. The only plotting and planning I'm doing is constructive.
When the shark bites with his teeth jet, scarlet billows.
Since Paul Ferris is released from prison, 5 of McGraw's henchmen have been the target of gangland hits. Most of the crimes remain.
Man, on a fish shop, that shit look good as hell. Why y'all fishing in fries is what I call them, but I'm gonna call them chips. Why y'all fish and chips look so goddamn good? Shit don't look that good over here.
Unsolved.
There's not a trace of red.
Ferris himself
Is
is
that
not
cod?
immune to threats.
Sunday morning.
The man with the big reputation claims it's a risk he's learned to live with.
Someone sneaking around the corner.
Others in the criminal world, on behalf of long memory, think of the people who you've done damage to on behalf of others in the criminal world, on behalf of your own kind of motives when you were at it. Somebody made an attempt in your life you wouldn't do with a.
Somebody made an attempt in my life. I'd act on it. If I get information that somebody's of a mind to wreak some sort of violence against me, of course I'll react.
Wouldn't go to the police and dial 999.
No.
Wouldn't say I need help.
I don't deal with the police. I've never dealt with the police. We always had a kind of an unwritten rule that we deal with our own problems. We deal with the punishment aspect. What punishment fits the crime that had been done against us. And if somebody's silly enough to make an attempt, or in worst cases, somebody actually been given some money to go and commit an offence against me, I've had a variety of different people coming back and saying, we've just took 20 grand off of X, Mr. X.
To take you out?
Yeah.
How much would they say? How much would you like?
I fucking laugh. It was funny. It was funny, but the fact that they came back and told me in the first place was crucial enough, because they knew if I found out that this plot existed, then I would act.
That boy he put fear in people's heart. He took dude 20 bands, so he wasn't scared of that man at all that was paying him. Took his 20 bands and went back and told the hit, like, yeah, this man just gave me this 20 bands to try to take you out. Not going.
Paul Ferris is determined to stay out of jail and claims to have reinvented himself as a legitimate businessman. His chosen career, consultant for the private security industry, has raised many eyebrows. His reputation as Glasgow's most feared gangster appears to be an advantage in this line of work.
Duh.
Unconvinced by his career change, the police have maintained their surveillance on Paul Ferris.
I made a declaration when I was freed for prison. I was going straight. A lot of people were laughing and joking with regards to that.
And have you gone straight, black and white straight, or have you gone straight grey?
I don't think anybody can ever actually turn around and say they can go absolutely straight, because I've still got friends that are criminals, you know, and people who are absolutely straight don't ever have these sort of associates in mind, I would never give up that friendship. So, in a way, there is still a grey area, yeah.
What do the police think you're up to at the moment? Do they think that you're... What do they think?
Oh, everything. Everything.
I like how Paul moved, man. Traditional gangster, man.
Suspicion also surrounds Paul Ferris's associate, Mark Clinton. Since walking for McPhee's murder, he has been involved in a number of violent incidents. And now the police want to talk to him, this time about drugs.
And they're saying they found a substantial amount of drugs in my brother's and his wife's house.
That boy got on a Nike tracksuit with the up top. He ain't playing. Shit's serious.
But they've no charged his wife or him. They're saying it was me. And it's not my house. I don't know how they can work that one out. I'm not a householder. I've no right keys for the house. So how can they tell right away that it's mine? Surely they must need to do tests for like, DNA and all that.
Well, they have to then.
Most definitely. The advice I've been given is to go.
Are you going to take that advice?
Definitely. As I said earlier on, I'm not going to be allowed to live in this city anyway. But this is just the icing on the cake. The proof in the pudding, more or less.
Oh, that's not even one of these, but it's a fitted cap, but it looked like one of these. Pattern wise.
Let them carry on regardless.
Despite mounting pressure from the police and the underworld, Mark Clinton couldn't resist a farewell drink in town.
Just to notice you're setting up right now.
I just got to meet some of my mates now and get a cut of shandies.
Across the state greens, in the night, an armored cars.
Oh, it's over. Going low. Delete the ice.
To a strip club. Clinton ended the night at Glasgow's newest strip club, Legs & Co. At 3:20 a.m. on Sunday morning, Clinton was once again involved in violence. He was left bleeding and unconscious on the pavement.
The baby's crying.
Somebody got on your ass, huh?
Clinton was rushed to casualty in an ambulance. His brother feared the worst.
Dang, that's
he was in a coma.
He's big sleep. Somebody put him to sleep. God damn.
Underneath that one.
At least he's alive.
Is the situation getting worse, or are there going to be more deaths?
I think, to be honest and fair on it, I don't know. The indications aren't looking too clever. There are still probably a few old scores to get settled, and then those old scores, if they do get settled, there'll be other ones to settle. So it's a never-ending
cycle. It's a vicious, vindictive, never-ending loop.
After 3 days in hospital, Mark Clinton, the indestructible henchman, is back on the streets. Tam, the licensee McGraw, was finally convicted by a Scottish court for drink driving. It's understood he's now spending more time in his villa in Tenerife.
All that gangster shit, he got convicted of drunk driving.
For the first time, Paul Ferris seems to be in a position to inherit the crown he was groomed for as a young man. A crown that fits well, but one he protests he has no interest in.
Crown that man. Low-key king running
In
shit.
January 2005, Paul Ferris signed a 6-figure movie deal. Robert Carlyle is tipped to play the wee man in this story of his life.
Oh, so the movie's out. Okay. That's what's up, man. Go check it out, man. TheeLitOne. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notification bell. Sorry for the mic quality. I used the one off my webcam today. It is what it is. I'm gone.